Predicting your death. That's what we're going to talk about today. I've got a mechanism, a tool, that can predict your death because it predicted mine. So I woke up this morning and I was dead. So maybe man flu, and I'm just being overly dramatic. I woke up this morning, felt really bad, but I could see it coming. In fact, Sunday, I could see it coming. I knew something was afoot and I could eliminate a couple of things. So what was left was probably some type of sickness. I did not feel at all sick on Saturday or Sunday, but something didn't feel quite right. So I have a tool I can use to predict death. Well, predict how your body, particularly your autonomous nervous system, your ANS, how that is dealing. And when we're feeling good and things are going well, it's parasympathetic. We're sort of cruising, we're recovering really well. When we're stressed, highly stressed, then and highly stimulated, we're in the sympathetic range, and that's like the fight or flight. We don't want to hang around there too much, right? We want to be right in the middle. So, HRV, heart rate variability, has been around a long time. It's been used by a lot of athletes or very high-level coaches and athletes as a very powerful mechanism to gauge recovery and training intensity. A lot of coaches will just kind of go by their strength. Am I getting stronger or weaker? How do I feel? It's very touchy-feely, emotional kind of stuff. Yeah, that plays some part, but we can't always predict where our body's going to be in a couple of days or in a week. Heart rate variability can do that for us. It can let us know that something is up before we even know it. Very, very powerful stuff. If you've never heard of it, in the link below, in the description below, I'm going to link to a video in my channel by Eugene Teo, who talks really well and summarizes HRV for everyone. If you've never heard of it, please watch that video. I might have a link to it here somewhere if I can figure that out, but it will be in the description box below. Okay, so again, I woke up this morning, I felt like shit. It was no surprise, something was afoot, I could see it coming. So I'll show you how I could tell, and the tool, my predictive death tool. So have a look at the graph here. I'll just bring it up on the screen. And you'll see a couple of figures there, 6.8, 7.1, 7.6. Now, without going too much into this now, my average HRV reading is 8.4. Now, I've done this over many, many years. My average chronic over time is 8.4. It's quite good. Over the last 7 days, it's been 7.6. It's been getting lower. Yesterday it was 7.1, and today it was 6.8. Now, if it's going down, bad. It's going up, good. All right. Now, there is kind of a graph at the bottom of that as well, kind of 6 hexagonal, 5 hexagonal boxes. Far right is parasympathetic, far left is sympathetic. Ideally, you want to be somewhere in the middle most of the time. I'm on the far left. There's like a vertical white line there. I'm on the far left, which means I'm in the sympathetic range. Now, the advice that it gives me there is you reported being sick today, which I did. It might be a good idea to take it easy. So that's what HRV app has suggested I do. And that's exactly what I am doing. But this is not just today where it's predicted this stuff. I'll go to another graph, and that shows basically over the last 4 or 5 days what's been happening. I was at 8.4 in the far left. It's been gradually getting lower and lower. Now, if I went from 8.4 to 8, that's actually quite bad. That means I should think very seriously about doing some active rest on that day and not training. But I've gone from 8.4 to 6.8. That's a huge drop in HRV. So that decline has been happening over the last 5, 6 days. I could see it happening. So I could see that my body has not been reacting well to a stressor. Now, people could say, well, maybe you're overtraining, Brett. Training too hard. Don't train as much. Take a day off. Yeah, maybe. There's a whole bunch of other stresses involved here, though, peeps. So, that's one stress, training stress. Another one is how I'm dealing with nutrition. That's another stress. Another one's environmental. Another one's social. There's basically 10 stresses we deal with. Training's one of them. But what I can do with HRV is I can eliminate one of the major stresses because I track that as well. Now I'll go to another graph. Lots of graphs today. That looks a bit complicated, but you'll see a figure there which says 94% of CTL, which is chronic training load. Now I'm 94%, which is actually excellent out of 100. So that's kind of a snapshot showing I'm 94% accurate, 94% where I should be for my training load. Now the blue line that you can see there sort of slowly rising up is my chronic training load over time. And I can look back on this for years, by the way. This is about the last month or so. And what I've been trying to do over the last 12 to 14 weeks is to make that blue line go up slowly, which means my body is positively adapting, right? When people talk about strength training and adapt, how do they know they're adapting? Oh, I kind of feel like I am. You know, my weights are going up, kind of. Yeah, fuck that. This is data, man. So I am actually adapting positively to the stresses I put on my body, okay, in training. So you see the blue line going up. The yellow line or the orange line is each training session. Now each training session must create a positive adaptation. So I want more of the waveform above the blue line than I want below it. And I've got that about right, okay? So from that, I can see that my training is exactly on par. So the stresses that's making my body decline, I'll go back to this graph. What's making my body decline, what's making my body feel stressed, sympathetic, going into the sympathetic fight or flight range is not the training. What's left? Could be nutrition. I monitor my nutrition very closely. I haven't changed any major foods. It's not nutrition. And maybe social life, well, I don't have one. So it's not that. I knew what it was. It must be sickness. That's a major one, okay? So to me, it was fairly obvious what was causing or will cause my crash. And I noticed this on Sunday, 2 days ago. I'm going to get sick. Right? Now, I wasn't going to be a victim of my own prophecy here and just preempt this. This is good hard data. This is not willpower where I'm willing this to happen. So it's nothing to do with that. This is really very, very cold, hard data. So I could see that was going to happen. So what I did is I knew that I'm going to crash at some point, and very soon. That happened this morning. Felt like shit. Today I was supposed to do heavy weight training. But on Sunday, I changed my program. So I brought my whole program 3 weeks forward because I could see the crash coming. I decided to stop my existing program 3 weeks ahead. I had planned to get to 15% above my maximums. I got to 12% above. I have to deal with that. I'm okay. I'm at peace with that. And so I thought, well, I know my body's crashing. For the coming week, I'll go into a deload, take the stress off my body from training, try and reduce all the stresses in my life as best as possible for the coming week. I'll let my body crash because it's probably going to get sick. That's what's happened today. I was right. And for this week, I'm in a deload. So I've changed my whole plan. I've brought it forward. I'm allowing myself to go into whatever would happen, which is this sickness. I'll get over it this week. And I won't put any extra stress on it by being pig-headed about my training, by putting too much stress on that because of wanting to train heavy and so forth. So this week I'm deloading, taking all the stresses I possibly can off my body, letting myself get better as soon as I can. By the end of this week, I'll go into my next plan, which is called Bulge, by the way. In fact, this is the sequel. It's called Bulge More. And that's bodybuilding ultra lean gain plan that I'm on at the moment. Now I'm going to let that happen. So my takeaway from this is there are tools out there where you can monitor your recovery and you can very quickly see what stresses in your life are dominating and you can manage them, right? You've got to stick with this type of stuff. You've got to put some data in there and work with it. But over time, you can become very accurate and see how your body's recovering. Not guess. Am I? Aren't I? Are my strength levels going up, down? Who knows, right? No, you've got to be more accurate than that. So with HRV, you can be. So I think the takeaway is you can predict how your body's going to perform, how your body's going to recover, and plan accordingly. So you can get Darwinian, adapt or die, up to you. You can be a victim, or you can start planning your future and use the tools that are out there. Okay, again, check the description box below for that video from Eugene Teo, and take care. Talk to you later.